Welcome back to our discussion on bridging the digital divide. With me here in the studio of Lok Sabha Television, I have Satish Jha. Besides being educated in Benares and Jawaharlal Nehru University in Delhi, he also studied at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy, Kennedy School of Governance, HEC France, has co-chaired the World IT Forum for 5 years, member of the United Nations Global Alliance for Information and Communication Technologies for Development, and a special advisor to the Kofi Annan Center for Excellence in Information and Communications Technology. Satish ji, you said that it is possible, and there are large parts of the world, in Latin America, in Africa, in parts of Asia, even in India, where you can have a computer which costs, in Indian currency, 15,000 rupees, which will last for at least 5 years, and which does not depend on electricity. You can use your hand to charge it. But will such a machine, which you describe as a computer, really a computer? Or is it just a little gadget which pretends to be a computer?
I would say the OLPC is more of a computer than a normal laptop. I'll share with you why. Because OLPC takes full-fledged Microsoft Windows program. At the same time it takes Linux. You can take Android as well. It's the only computer that's a multi-operating system computer whenever you choose to have it. Of course, we recommend to use open source because that keeps the cost of software
low,
minimal.
because you don't have to pay for that.
That's right. Besides, we have more than 200 applications created with the help of world's best minds that allow children to interface with the computer and look at that little computer as their window to the world. So I would say in many ways children don't need less than adults, they need much more. So this computer is more of a computer than any computer that you have.
Just because it's is using or is capable of using multiple operating systems.
Because what is a computer? If you can use Microsoft Windows, then you can use virtually any other program in the world anyway. So it can use that, effectively anything. I like to say, this computer operates at the frontiers of imagination. If you can imagine it, it probably does it. And you can ask me if it does it, and probably my answer will be yes.
What I'm puzzled by and what I find difficult to fathom is, if indeed it is possible to provide such a machine, why have we made such slow, tardy progress in providing a laptop per child, in actually operationalizing the $100 a laptop scheme, in ensuring that computers are available to large sections of the people? I mean, these are dreams, but every time you sort of dream this dream, people say you're living in a fool's paradise, that it's not actually possible to do that. And you tell me what is the reality on the ground, because as we discussed right at the beginning of our conversation, out of 6.5 billion people on the planet, only 2 billion have used the internet, or less than 2 billion have used the internet.
True. I would say very simply this: we have a leadership gap. Leaders see beyond their times. Leaders see something, imagine a world created. Leaders behave differently. We have a tendency to watch the rest of the world perfect something, perfect an answer, and then when everybody has perfected it, we go and adopt it. That's one change.
We play safe.
We play very safe, number one. Number two, we are subjected to our governance procedure. For instance, there's ICT at a school program. Imagine this: ICT at a school says we will give 10 computers to a school. Because they have no electricity, we'll give a generator. It requires a UPS, and give a projector. We do all that, and we'll give 7.5 lakh rupees over a 5-year period. And they will be given to the person who does it 1.5 lakh rupees a year. But they also have to give a teacher for 5 years. But the teacher's salary is 20,000 a month. So teachers should get 12 lakh rupees over a 5-year period. But the total budget is only 7.5 lakhs. So what does the school get? The school gets 10 computers, 1 generator, 1 projector, 1 UPS, and locked in a room where a teacher comes 1 hour, because they have to technically show teacher is there. So government's process is about filling the papers, checking out
So that teacher is
boxes.
coming for only 1 hour in a day?
1 or 2 hours in a week.
In a week, okay.
And then so children see that far. This program has been, every Secretary of Education I met, they told me privately, this is the biggest waste of money we have. But who do we tell? They are all officers, they're part of the system.
Tell me, are we deluding ourselves to believe that we can actually empower the underprivileged in this country through information and communications technology if our computers are kept locked in cupboards, in closed doors? If that person who knows how to use that computer works for 2 hours in a week, then at the end of the day, I mean, who are we fooling? We're only fooling ourselves. We're deluding ourselves, are we not?
Precisely. In fact, it's shocking. If you want to go like conscientious person, then you'll have many questions. But let's also understand, how does society work? How does system work? Person managing the system has to meet his or her requirements. So they had to provide 10 computers, they provided 10 computers. Nowhere it was said, a child therefore must learn from it. What we are saying is, a child actually can take computer home. We have 3 principles. A child should be as young as possible, because that's when the creativity comes out.
What do you mean young? How
4 or
young?
5 years old.
4, 5, 6 years old.
Yes. That's when they are creative. They can become creative, more creative, number one. They can take it home. By taking it home, they educate their parents, because typically parents haven't been to schools either. But also they play with it, and they must have a sense of ownership. They should never be told by parents or teachers, this is my laptop and not yours. ICT at a school violates all these norms, come to think of it. So what we advise the government is this: you have 7.5 lakh budgeted. In that we can provide 50 laptops to children. They don't require maintenance, it's zero maintenance thing. We will find a way, okay, if there's maintenance budget required, we'll take 10%. But you have 45 laptops there. If there are 100 students, let them use, 2:1. The 150, let them use 3:1. But now they have 24/7 access to laptops. A laptop which has 230 applications available to them, which allows them to go from K to 12 without any extra addition of any content. It's already filled up with content. So when we say laptop,
it's all there, embedded in that machine.
So this machine, if I were to price it, I would say my laptop costs $0, my applications cost $1 each, and we give 100 digital books along with it, because some donors, they gave out 3 million books to us, and they said you can give it to every child, 100 books free. 100 digital books free is nearly as good as $200 free. So this machine is as free as you can get. The moment you buy it, the moment government pays 15,000 rupees, it has already got 50,000 rupees of value. So it's like a no-brainer to have it for a child. But that only becomes no-brainer if you have a desire to let your children go into the future.
Are you really suggesting is that the lack of vision of not just our political leadership, our officials, our teachers, our society as a whole? I mean, why blame only politicians? Why blame only engineers or bureaucrats? I mean, at the end of the day, are you suggesting that it's a certain kind of myopia that pervades large sections of Indian society that is responsible for information and communications technology not being able to empower large segments of the Indian population, in particular those who are underprivileged, those who are living below the poverty line?
I would say, because I was an editor as well, and I founded a newspaper, co-founded for Indian Express, Jansatta, and edited Dinman, which allowed me a very different way of looking at it. That's when I began thinking about it. I would say what you have said is so true. We as a society haven't thought about how to take our underprivileged forward. Otherwise, we inherited 360 million people in 1947. Today we have more than 500
million people.
500 million illiterates. We have created a larger nation.
We are supposed to have about 300 million illiterates. I don't know.
Which is technically, maybe technically
yeah,
true.
I mean, 300 million odd people in India cannot read and write their own name. Let me put it this way. They still use a thumb impression. But we have a census which we know about.
I would say one political leader told me when I advised him, he said, in 1830s in Bengal we had complete literacy. I said, yes. And I also went to Tamil Nadu that time. They had literacy too. Gujarat had literacy too. But
in Kerala you have literacy. In Mizoram you have literacy.
But my point is, from literacy to learning is a very long road. And literacy doesn't do anything to us at all. Are we going to create citizens who are only good to be domestic help, or drivers, or carpenters at best? Or are we going to create citizens who are going to be able to learn from what society has offered today? Human society has empowered us that we can learn as much as we wish to.
Okay, take India. It's become a bit of a cliche, but it's a fact that India has produced 1 out of 3 computer software engineers on the planet. But India is also home to 1 out of 3 persons on this planet who's poor, who's hungry, who's malnourished, who's illiterate. So, which India are you living in? Or are you in Bharat? So, the question that would obviously arise is that within the country, just as you see that economic divide, just as you see that rural-urban divide, you see that huge digital divide. And you have the haves, the digital haves, and the digital have-nots. And we are not seeing this gap being narrowed or bridged, despite the government claiming a lot is being done.
As a matter of fact, the percentage of people who are using technology as a percentage of population is almost the lowest in India, at the lowest spectrum. The reason is that population base is very large. It's not that I don't sympathize with my politicians, but at some point in time I lose patience for one reason. If we just change the priorities, 50,000 crore rupees we spend on primary school education, if we do it the right way, we can have them become thinking children. As of now, we don't do it. We have 34,000 crore rupees on midday meal scheme. 7 rupees per day is what is supposed to be for midday meal scheme. If we spend 7 rupees per day on child, again we'll make them different. I go to mothers who earn less than 1,000 rupees a month and they say, we survive. That's why we are in front of you. If we survive, we must be eating. But if we are given education, we have a hope. If you're not given education, this is how we are going to remain. So please don't tell us we need food first. We already have food that keeps us surviving.
Okay.
Now, point is simply this. Yes, to all the points you made, if we think, I have not met one single individual in the country, as an individual, who doesn't want this laptop for children. But I haven't met many people. Of course, like I said, Kerala Chief Minister and Education Minister, he saw it, he said, I want it. There are 8 Chief Ministers who saw it, they immediately wanted it, but they ran up against the system.
All right, stop here. I take a third break.
Yes.
It's a final break in our conversation.
Okay.
We have a fourth and the last segment of our conversation. I want you to talk about the way forward.
Okay.
All that you're dreaming about, providing a laptop to each child, you're talking about using the power of information and communications technology to empower the underprivileged. You're talking about telemedicine, you're talking about electronic governance, you're talking about computers helping the farmer on the fields, the fisherman on the seas, you're talking about the laborer who's breaking stones for a livelihood. Is this possible? Will it be possible? Or are we, the old question, are we just dreaming dreams? So I get back to you, Mr. Satish Jha.
Sure.
We take one last break. Is it really possible to bridge that digital divide? Yes, we have computers which use human energy, which are dust proof, which are waterproof, but can that technology truly empower the Aam Aadmi, the underprivileged? We'll be back with you in a short while from now.